is up? This is, God damn, that's so loud. This is an attempt. This is an attempt at a Dagon playthrough. I like HP Lovecraft. I like video games. I need to do something for YouTube. Dagon is a faithful, interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Oh, okay. Alright, as to letters, my case is peculiar. I write such things exactly as easily and as rapidly as I would utter the same topics in conversation, and indeed, epistolary expression is with me largely replacing conversation. As my condition of nervous prostration becomes more and more acute, I cannot bear to talk much now, and am becoming as silent as the spectator himself. My loquacity extends itself on paper. H.P. Lovecraft to Reinhard Kleiner, December 23, 1917. Throughout his life, Lovecraft penned around 100,000 letters to his friends and fans, out of which about 10% survive to this day. But his tendency to endless correspondence was a relatively late growth. In youth, I scarcely did any letter writing, thanking anybody for a present was so much of an ordeal that I would rather have written a 250-line pastoral or a 20-page treatise on the rings of Saturn. Selected letters, 1929 to 1931. Lovecraft would often skip meals to afford postage. Collections of his correspondence have been published in various books, and selected letters can be found online. Some readers consider them his most important legacy. Alright. Non-cars, mate, non-cars.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate.
Oh, let's fucking party!
When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Oh, nice and somber, pal. Alright, let's try that. Alright, next. Alright, let's see what this is. Morphine entered into use in the 19th century and was routinely administered to treat severe pain during American Civil War and World War I. It was also sold without restrictions until 1914. Morphine became more popular after the invention of hypodermic syringe around 1854. Frederick Turner, who first isolated the substance, originally named it morphium after Morpheus, the Greek god associated with dreams. At the time when Dagon was published, morphine abuse, known as soldier's disease, already posed a big problem in the United States. Hell yeah, bruh. Fucking party it up. Can I get some? Let me get some of that morphine. Oh, it's empty. Fucking junkie. You piece of shit.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Elder sign.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The Huns were Central Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. Oh, so, and then Hun became German in order to emphasize brutality. Well, fucking Germans stink. Actually, what are the stars? Hell yeah, dude. The water's nice.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Well, it's kind of on them, ain't it? Like, they wanted to keep you for real, they would have locked you down better.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
It's just water. How do you have... You know where you're at. You're in the ocean in the middle of nowhere.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
Dude, this is nice. I wish I could have played this in VR. So where do I keep...
Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Alright. Is that the moon? What is that?
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
I mean, that's your best hope. I mean, you got provisions, you said. You got a water sack. Oh, okay, I guess I'm drinking water.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
Yeah, this would suck. The sunburn alone's freaking me out.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
Alright, charge my phone.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
Alright,
For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
yeah, this is like... Well, this reminds me of Death Stranding.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Ugh. There's tentacles already on the boat. Oh, fuck this.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Oh, this is terrifying. And how's there already cobwebs over there? There's spiders in this world? Ah!
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
You died
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
No, because why is that undulating?
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Uh-oh. Oh, that big fish.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness. It seemed like, okay. Just making sure I understood that.
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
I can't even play fucking, what is that, Submerged or Subnautica? I can't even play that.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
All right, let's go!
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
What's a hummock? Whoa. Alright, so there's nothing around.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still traveled toward the hummock,
Where can you camp?
though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Dude. This is a fucking kraken. Alright, nothing in sight. Ah, God.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Oh, shit.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface.
Alright.
Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
Well, you're free of weird monsters, it looks like.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again, and in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Alright. The glare of the parchment so much would have cost me. How?
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I
Oh shit, I started from the crest of the eminence. Alright, where is... Oh, down here. No mark? Okay.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
Look how beautiful this is. Oh my god.
I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Oh shit.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Oh, don't get close, don't get close, don't get close. Any marks? No, okay.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent.
Ooh, that sticky shit makes me nervous.
Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Wow, the drop of a few hundred. Just jump. You can't jump. You got slide. Slide!
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
What would whitely be? Like shine? Oh, I gotta look this way. Slide! Snowboard or whatever down.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
If you learn one thing as a person out in nature, nothing in nature is completely straight.
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express. For despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures.
Ooh, this is actually making me nervous.
Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Okay. Alright, so I can sympathize with the thrill, but the fear, because you don't understand why this is here, and this whole world is strange to you, and you still think it's regular home. Oh, this is making me nervous.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm.
Oh, fuck.
And revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope.
Or out of your sight, maybe.
Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith.
That's creepy. Oh, that is so creepy.
On whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Closer? Yeah.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
I don't like the difference in the style from the middle to the animals on the right. I don't like that difference in style. But I'll keep going.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world,
monsters. This middle one's probably Cthulhu, but I got Shine.
but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
Oh, okay.
It was the
Fine.
pictorial carving,
Dragons
however,
and stuff.
that did most to hold me spellbound.
All that. The big boss. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods, such as the Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings, journals and characters' notes, islands emerging from the ocean, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies. It also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order not to spoil the ending. Okay.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men. Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto.
Gay-ass merman. Who the fuck worships a rectangle, you fucking autists?
Or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well.
That four-eyed thing right here, that's at the bottom middle. Terrifying.
Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail,
There's no faces.
for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint.
Uh-oh.
Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
Oh, shit. Now this is terrifying.
They were damnably human in general
imagine one's
outline,
popping out to
despite
the right
webbed
over
hands
here,
and
or the
feet,
left.
shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy,
That terrified
bulging
me.
eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background.
Alright.
For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger
Wow.
than himself.
How's that killing a whale? It's just staring at it. Like this is a whale standing up and that's that standing up.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size.
That was that middle top one. Not that one, that's middle bottom.
But in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Alright, what am I finding? That? Anything else? No.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
What? What? So... Oh,
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh, shit.
Vast, Polyphemus-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Oh, shit.
I think I went mad then.
Okay.
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little. I believe I sang a great deal, and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
Oh, no. Yeah. Sounds like you went mad, bub.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat.
Dude, I love rain in video games. If it sounds good enough. But I hate that. I hate the orchestral chords when it goes. Or the big fucking metal thumps.
At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Ah, okay, it's just fading. Okay. Shit.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital. Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing.
Yeah, because you still believe a volcano
Nor
shot
did I
land
deem
up.
it necessary
Well,
to insist
underwater
upon a
volcano.
thing which I knew they could not believe.
Yeah, all you could do if no one believes you, since you are getting your recollections wrong, which, understandable, you just seen something that your mind can't conceive or understand, so your brain just breaks from reality.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Oh, shit. Any secrets? Ah. Secrets. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, or Applebee's, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in a Syrian poem and an underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's works, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that reside in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Alright. Thanks for clearing that up, Chief. Damn, that bitch ugly. Hey, Holmes. You know she ugly. God, that's a big ass room, cuz. Oh, I thought it made noise every time I turned my head a certain way.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works throughout his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misrepresented in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Is that it? Oh, over here. Is this a puzzle? What the f... What is this?
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
You're in your fucking room, bruh.
I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
Yeah.
So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Oh, buddy, it's okay.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war.
A mere freak of fever. Okay.
This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply.
Oh, yeah, you can't lie to yourself,
I cannot
dude.
think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Oh, shit, dude. Oh, I don't like this.
The end is near.
Alright. What? Huh?
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Oh, get the fuck out! Dude. No, don't go.
It shall not find me.
Yeah, go to the window. Oh, fuck!
God, that hand!
Go.
The wind!
There it is. Get out. Oh, fuck. That made me nervous, bro. Well, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. That was the first part of Dagon, excluding the 2 DLCs. I hope you liked it. I mean, you just click next is all you do. It's like what was those? It wouldn't be a movie, but it would be like a comic. It would be like an interactive comic. I forget what they were called, but it's something like that. All you just hit next. But hey, I like the story of Dagon. Now, like I heard bits and pieces when I was listening to Creep's work, but this story's pretty dope. Like I want to check out all these. What is the Tales of Herring Lake? What is this? Meets Alfred Hitchcock. Oh, so it's just a weird mystery game. Okay. So they have 2 DLCs for this and a second game, or first game, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. This is Sorcerer YT or TTB or TV, whatever side I'm on. And check out the next video, which would end up probably being Anomaly 2, or it would be my Call of Cthulhu playthrough. But you guys have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time of the day it is for you. And like and subscribe. Peace.